Welcome to the new masechta, Maseches Makkos. We are in Amud Yomi, Avos Shalom B'Shemesh. Maseches Makkos is a new masechta, and Baruch Hashem, we are all very happy. We are recording now. Thank you, and we would like to welcome everybody here and everybody on Zoom, Torah Anytime, and YouTube. Thank you very much. We're here Sunday to Thursday. Every day of the week we do one Amud, and then Friday Shabbos. You're welcome to do your Chazorah. So we are now Maseches Makkos. Baruch Hashem, we managed to finish almost all Masechtas of Nizikin, except for Makkos and Shavuos. Makkos is only 24 dapim long, and that means we can finish it hopefully in the middle of Elul, more or less, by my cheshbon, since there will be a few days off. Yeah, so good, Baruch Hashem. I think we're good to go. And with the help of this Masechta Makkos, all our enemies will get their Makkos. All our enemies have to get their Makkot. And we wish it upon them, and the Shiur should come and show them the way, show us the way, actually. Okay, Lilu Nishmas, my father, Menachem ben Akiva. Before we start, we need some introductions, like in every new Masechta. The Masechta Makkos is like the natural continuation of Masechta Sanhedrin. It's right after Sanhedrin. Some people say it's even considered to be one Masechta. Right at the beginning of the Masechta, we'll see a very close connection between Sanhedrin and Makkos. What's the difference? Sanhedrin deals mainly with capital punishment, and Makkos, Kishmoy Kenhu, deals with the lashing. Yeah, lashing is the default punishment given to people who break a lav. Yeah, people who break an avera, who do a lo ta'aseh. It's usually Makkos, unless prescribed otherwise by the Torah, and obviously only given by based in of 23 people. So Makkos is like the little sister of Sanhedrin. Basically, Makkos has three prokim, and it's a very well organized masechta. The first perek, second, and third, right? We deal with Eidim Zomimim. We're going to see the connection between Eidim Zomimim and Makkos. The second perek deals with Rotzech B'Shoigeg, Elo Nagoylim, a person who killed, so to speak, inadvertently, and he has to go to exile in one of the cities for the Rotzech B'Shoigeg. And the third perek talks in general about Makkos, Elon Eloikin, about the details of Makkos and who are the people who get Makkos, all types of Isurim that bring you Makkos, eating treif, shatnez, v'chule, v'chule. So these are the three prokim. The first perek is a perek to do with Eidim Zomimim. Yeah. So we've been seeing Eidim Zomimim. Yeah, we saw them. We met these Eidim Zomimim many, many times throughout Shas. We know them already, but now we're going to really get to know them well. The halachas of the Eidim Zomimim. And also, we're going to see why Eidim Zomimim has to do with Makkos more than anything else. I would read inside the Torah. It's not a long piece. Basically, I'm reading from inside. Tomorrow you can bring your own chomoshim if you'd like. And the Torah tells us in Parshas Shoftim, perek Yutes, Devarim Yutes, Posuk Yutes. Yeah, so it says if an ed sheker. Yeah, if Beis Din sees that an ed is a liar, and we always know that one ed really means two edim, right? In halacha, in most cases, two edim are valid and not one. What do you do with the ed that's a false ed? Vasisim loy, these are the words we're going to see again and again and again and again, so you better know them now. Yeah, so vasisim loy kasher zomam lasois leochiv. Yeah, you should do to him what he wanted to do to his brother. Kasher zoma, what he plotted, what he engineered to do to his brother, you should do to him. That's it. That's what it says. You should do to him as he thought, as he planned to do to his brother. Okay, very nice. So that is the source for Eidim Zomimim. What's Eidim Zomimim? So we know from different sources that not every false aid, not every false witness gets a punishment that he wanted to give, so to bestow upon the accused. Not everyone. I'll give you a very stark example. What about if people said, two people came to Beis Din and gave a very, very good, amazing, perfect edus, that Reuven killed Shimon. And we know who Shimon is. And then whatever Beis Din paskin that, Reuven has to die, which is very rare. Yeah, because Reuven killed Shimon, but the edus of Beryl and Shmerel, the edim. And then Shimon steps into Beis Din. Courtroom drama. Wow. Yeah, in other words, Baharuk Baraglav. They mamish were caught with big fried egg on their face. Big, egg on their face. We know that they're liars. Do you kill them? No. Although we know they're liars, and maybe there's other punishments. There definitely can't be Edim anymore. Maybe they have to do tshuva. That's not our business right now. But we don't do that business, that punishment of doing to them what they do to others. That we don't say. Yeah. Okay. So now, what did we say? The Edim Zoimimim only get the punishment of they get what they wanted to do with two conditions. They wanted to do the first of all, only if they were denied in a very specific way called Imanu Hayisem, which means Beryl and Shmerel said that last Sunday they saw Reuven killing Shimon in the Shemesh. Yeah, this past Sunday, 4 days ago. And then other Edim came and said, what? Sunday, 1 o'clock lunch, you saw he was killed in the Shemesh, Reuven killed Shimon. You were with us, you yourselves, you were with us in a different city. Where were they? You are with us in Beitar, not in Shemesh. So you're lying. Only under those conditions we say that the second cut, the second group is believed, and the first group is not believed. And the first group, what do you do to them? If they wanted to kill Reuven, let's say Reuven, as a murderer, was supposed to get what? Saif, was supposed to be killed by the sword. They will be killed by the sword, both Reuven and Shimon. If Reuven, Shimon, and Levi, to the best of my memory, Reuven, Shimon, and Levi all get the same punishment, yeah, because they are Edim Zomimim. Why is that? It's Xeris HaKosuv. The Torah decides to believe the second group and not the first group. What about if the second group of Edim come and they say, no, Reuven was with us in a different place. You say Reuven murdered, Reuven has an alibi. What you call alibi? They're not Zomimim, that we don't know what to do. We don't know who to believe. Oh, maybe the first Edim are right, maybe the second Edim are right. Scratching our heads, don't do anything. We don't kill Reuven because it's a suffix. We don't kill people, by upon doubt, and therefore it's only that specific case of what Imanu Hayisem. Remember the words. We're going to say it a lot. You were with us. You, the Eidim, claim you witnessed Reuven killing Shimon 1 o'clock Sunday B'Shemesh. No, 1 o'clock Sunday B'Shemesh. You were with us in Beitar or in Baltimore or in Bnei Brak or in Berlin or in Baghdad or in Bangkok. You are with us somewhere else, not in Beit Shemesh. And therefore, in that case, the Torah says, Machlokes Rishonim, some Rishonim said it's Xeris HaKosuv. That's what the Torah decided. We believe the second one's not the first one's. What about if they said that he owes money? We saw Reuven stealing, $2 million. So now Beis Din said, yeah, he's going to pay $2 million. And then Edim came and said, you saw him stealing $2 million when last week in Bnei Brak, he was with us in Netivot. Then what? Each one has to pay 1 million. They share the wealth. Yeah, one aid will pay 1 million, the other one is the second million. But that's what they have to do. What happened if Reuven was already killed? Oh, how tragic. Let's say the Edim Zomim decided that they want to kill Reuven. And what did they do? They plotted and they said that Reuven killed Shimon. And Beis Din believed them so much. And Beis Din said, yeah. And he actually went and they beheaded him. And then came the other Edim and said, Imanu Hayisem. No, so for sure you have to behead the first ones, no? No. Why? It says, Vasisem loy kasher zomam veloy kasher oso. Kasher zomam veloy kasher oso. Oh, that's Xeris HaKosuv. Only what he wanted to do, not what he actually did. If Beis Din actually went along with what the Edim said, practically, it actually came into practice, then the first Edim get off the hook. Right? Why? There is logic to it. Says the Ramban, because we never know if the second group are really right. It's Xeris HaKosuv. So if a Kadosh Baruch Hu made it that the guy would die, that means that Kadosh Baruch Hu is showing us that the first guys are right. That was Gishmak Ramban I've heard in my life. You understand? Again, it's such a Gishmak thing. Everyone asks, why is that? Why do you say Vasisim lo kasher zoman velo kasher also? If they plotted and they planned and Beis Din decided to kill him, you kill them. But if Beis Din really killed him, you don't kill them. Okay, Xeris HaKosuv. But the Ramban, I think I really didn't see it inside yesterday by preparing. I remember it very well though. I'm going to look it up inside today, Blineder. I think the Ramban says, I'll say it better tomorrow, but I just can't resist. I have to say it. Ramban says we don't really know that the first group are liars and the second group are real. It's Xeris HaKosuv. So says the Kadosh Baruch Hu, who gave us the Torah, he gave all the mitzvahs this way or the other, and he said if Beis Din really went along with the testimony of the first Edim and really killed Reuven, and Reuven was beheaded, that means that Kadosh Baruch Hu is showing us that the first Edim are really right. Kadosh Baruch Hu is mezam, and Kadosh Baruch Hu planned it and plotted it, that really what the first Edim said were right, and maybe they are right. So now when the second Edim come, it's too late for them to say anything because Rotan Hashem was already came into practice. I'll say it again tomorrow. 1 second. Another condition. What about if Beis Din are almost sure they want to kill Reuven, they want to execute Reuven because of the Edim, but they didn't yet make the final decision. They didn't yet make the final boom, the gavel. They didn't say guilty as charged. They're almost there. And then the other Edim came, the Mezimim. Get used to the lingo. The Mezimim are the ones who are proving the first one liars. The second group comes and said, Ibanu Hayisem. What do? You kill them? No. Why? Because there's no Gmar Din. You mentioned there was Gmar Din. In other words, it has to be a very specific moment. Edim Zomim applies only after Beis Din made a clear, full decision, but before the decision was put into practice. If at that happy moment, it could be a day, whatever, a din, whatever, it could be. Right. True. Yeah, but between the decision and practicing Yidafka, you shouldn't have too much time. No, I didn't. That's the moment we're talking about. That's before they decide. No. Between the decision and the by the way, it could be money. With money, we're not so makpid to have the same date. Yeah. Let's say didn't yet pay the money. Bezin decided, then you don't. Then you deal with Eidim Zomim. Otherwise, no. This was just the introduction. Yeah. Let's pause a minute. With that in mind, we can start the masechta Be'ezras Hashem. Ketzad Eidim Naisim Zomimin. How do Eidim become Eidim Zomimin? So the Mishnah is going to start with a very bad example. Instead of talking normal, everything I told you was the basics of Eidim Zomimin, and that will appear in Daf Hey. Our Mishnah seems to talk about the exception of the rule before it talks about the rule. Let's start again. Ketzad Eidim Naisim Zomimin. How do Eidim become Zoimimim? How do you apply Zoimimim to them? Says the Mishnah, quoting the Eidim, it's as if the Eidim are talking now. Meidim anu beish ploini, shu ben grusha oy ben chalutza. They talk about a ben grusha ben chalutza. This is so nice. We just learned this in Kiddushin. The two Eidim come and they say, this Kohen, we know he's the son of a grusha or a chalutza. How do you know he's the son of a grusha or chalutza? You followed his entire life? Yes, we are Eidim. This guy is 15, this young aspiring Kohen, about to board the bus going to Beis HaMikdash now. And I'm telling you, we're telling Beis Din that we know this guy's 15 years old. Well, 18 years ago, everybody knows who's his mother. His mother is Shprin Tabela Cohen, right? And we know that Shprin Tabela Cohen, his mother, is known to be his mother, Muchzekes, as we saw. We saw in Beis Din 18 years ago, 3 years before he was born, or just giving an example, that she received a get from her previous husband. And if he's the son of a grusha, he's a cholol. He's a cholol. Whether or not she's married, no, doesn't matter. If she's a grusha, 2 and 2 together, put 2 and 2. She's a grusha, and it's not a general edus we heard. We saw that very woman who's known to be his mother, and she's known to be his mother, and we assume mother and sons are known to be his mother and son, and we know that she received a get. We saw in the Beis Din in Ofakim, we saw that she received a get from her husband before this guy was born, and therefore he is a ches lamed lamed, he's a cholol. And then, you know what happened? Then other Eidim came, and they said, when exactly? 18 years ago in Chaf Aleph Ador, you saw that this woman was Chaf Aleph Ador Tafshin Ayin in Ofakim. You saw Chaf Aleph Ador Aleph Tafshin Ayin. You guys were not in Ofakim. You were in Los Angeles with us. So you guys are Zoimimim, classical case of Zoimimim. So what do you do to them? How can you punish people who try to make another person a cholol? If they're Israelim, that's a good question. We'll discuss that. Soon you'll see the answer. But let's say they themselves are koyanim. They're koyanim themselves. So that's a cool solution. They wanted to make him a cholol. Let's make them chalolim, although they're not, although they're very big miyuchosim. Let's now give them the stempel of chalolim. Let's treat them as chalolim. You wanted to make him cholol, you pieces of. So now we'll make you chalolim, and now you're not going to eat truma, and you're not going to be this, and your children will be chalolim, as we'll discuss. You're not working Beis HaMikdash. Nah. Well, maybe that's a good kasher zoma, basisim lo kasher zoma. The Mishnah surprises us. We don't say that these guys should become ben grusha ben chalutza chalolim instead of him, which is the classical punishment of the Torah. Ela loike arboim, Makkos loike arboim, which means that whenever you cannot apply the punishment of kasher zomam, when you can't kill instead of killing, or pay $1 million instead of $1 million, what do? You give them the malchus, you give them the lashes, the 40 lashes, which are really 39. And the question will be in the Gemara, why do you do that? Because, actually, I'm going to leave that for now. There's going to be discussion in the Gemara, but the malchus is something that was written specifically, connecting, Amud base, we're going to say, specifically alleged to Edim Zomimim, which means Edim Zomimim have plan A and plan B. Do I sound like an American? In other words, plan A is Kasher Zomam. You wanted to give skila, we'll give skila to you. You wanted to make him, pay $1 million, you'll pay $1 million. Mashenken, when Edim Zomimim, Kasher Zomam doesn't work, plan B would be what? Malchus. Malchus applies. What I was hesitating to say before, but I will say now, is normally Malchus are only given for lav sheyesh b'maisa. Who wants to translate into English? Lav sheyesh b'maisa. That is active, yes. In other words, something that involves physical action. You eat chazer, that was yummy, Malchus. You eat basa b'cholov, Malchus. You had bia in a way that's not, let's say, not whatever. Oh, yichud, you get Malchus. You went into the room with the woman, Malchus. You closed the door. The shenken verbal, you speak, usually when you speak or you do things or you think or you speak or you say, you don't get Malchus. Lav she'en b'maisa, there's no Malchus, except for Edim Zomimim. That's a connection between Edim Zomimim and Malchus. Edim Zomimim are one of the exceptions to the rule. Although it's not an active maisa, it's only speaking, you only move your lips, you don't do anything. You wanted to kill someone with your words, it's an exception to the rule, and you get Malchus, and that's a chiddush. So when you cannot apply kasher zomam, you cannot make those kohanim chalalim, plan B would right away be what? Malchus. Obviously, the question is, why can't you make them chalalim? The Gemara will discuss that. Why not? You can give them the shtempel. You're chalalim. The Torah can decide. Chalalim are people, and there will be real chalalim in the Oraisa. Thank you, but let's just continue, and then I'll hear your questions. Me'idin anu beish ploini shu chayav liglois. We are made, we testify that this guy is a really nice guy, but a bit uncareful. And last week we were here in the Tzorah forest, and we saw him, boom, the classical case. What did he do? He was felling the trees, was trying to cut trees, and by mistake, his axe fell on Shimon's head, and Shimon is dead. Now, it wasn't his kavana, but we advise you, Beis Din, to do what? He should now run away to Ir Miklat. You should go to Golan, to Betzel, to Bashan, go to one of the Ramot, or Gilad, one of the Ore Miklat, and should hide there until the Kohen Gadol dies. So what happened next? The Edim Mezimim came and said, what? On that day you were in Yar Tzorah? You're not in Yar Tzorah. You were in Besmedrash learning. You're not in Yar Tzorah, you liars. So, no. Here too is an exception to the rule. We don't say that those Edim, instead of him, they should get a taste of the medicine they wanted to give and let them run away for their lives, to Golan, wherever, to Miklat. Here's another case when plan A doesn't work, so we use plan B. That is basically what the Mishnah says. There's a very choshev Tosfos here. I'll say one thing from Tosfos. I hope to get to do more if we manage. Tosfos asks a simple question: why did we have to speak about Ben Grusha Ben Chalutza? This can also apply l'choira to a mamzer. As we'll see in the Gemara, right? Mamzer. Oh, we just did mamzerim, right? Let's say I know the guy's a mamzer, and I know I was an aide at her chasana, whatever. I know he's a mamzer some way. I don't know. He saw the bia. I know that the guy's a mamzer. Let's say, why don't you say that? Says Tosfos, because we're going to see in the Gemara that this Mishnah particularly has to do with a kohen, with kohanim, as we're going to see in the Gemara. That's why we choose to talk about kohanim. But conceptually, the same would apply also to mamzerim. Let's see the Gemara now. Yes, questions? Yeah, 1 second. Later. Perek the Gemara, we're starting the Gemara. And then the Gemara is asking the question, Ha ketzad ein heidim naisim zomim voilei. The Gemara is an issue with the wording, the style of the Mishnah. You're asking me how Edim becomes zomimim, and you're telling me the exception to the rule. The Mishnah should have said, how do Edim do not become zomimim, right? How? Yeah, because zomimim, according to the Havamim of the Gemara, is plan A. The classical case of Zanimim, which everyone explains to the Talmidim in Kita Daled, is what I told you at the beginning. Yeah, they gave Eidus, and the other Eidim said, no, you're with us in Haifa, and then you do to the first ones what they want to do, as the Pasuk says. And the Mishnah starts off the perek. He's starting how did it become Zamimim and telling me no, they don't get the same punishment as they were intending to give the other. He should have said how they are not Zamimim. Yeah, they're not Zamimim. They get Malchus like any other love. And in another question, the oid with the Ktani Lakamon later on in the masechta in Daf Hey, there it says Aval Omru Lahem Hey Chatem Meidin. The Mishnah in Daf Hey is a normal, nice, mainstream, good Mishnah. The Mishnah there says the other people are coming. The Mishnah describing the second Edim coming and saying, Edim, how are you testifying about Reuven in Bet Shemesh Sunday 1 o'clock? You were with us b'Mokum Ploini. You are with us in Tel Aviv. So are you talking about Bet Shemesh? These are the Zoimimin. So you see that the Mishnah later on is telling you these are the Zoimimin. Mashma that our guys are not Zoimimin, right? Yeah, these are the Zoimimim who, the normal case, where you have Zoimimim of Imanu Hayisem, and you give them the same punishment which they wanted to give, the guy, the accused, that's Zoimimim. Our Mishnah is not Zoimimim, our Mishnah is when you get Malchus, like any other Eide Sheker, not Eide Sheker, like whichever, like Stamilav. Answers the Gemara, Tana, you have to see the context of the Mishnah. Remember what I told you in the introduction? This Mishnah is natural continuation of Sanhedrin. And let me surprise you, because we learned Sanhedrin, and anybody who knows a little bit about Sanhedrin, about Shas, will tell you what's the last perek of Sanhedrin. Chelek is a 20 daf or so long perek, full of Agadata, Olam Haba, and Torah, and Sanhedrin, and Mashiach, and this. This is the last perek. Apparently, no. In the Mishnayos, and according to many opinions, the last perek of Sanhedrin is not the perek Chelek, but rather the second to last perek, the penultimate perek of Sanhedrin in our Gemaras, is really the last perek. And the end of the perek there, the real end of Sanhedrin, the way it's organized by Samri Shonim and in the Mishnayos, you know what it says in the end over there? It talks there about a very specific case of a Bas Kohen Shezinta. Background, Bas Kohen Shezinta, this is a daughter of a Kohen. She's from a Kohen family. She got married. I don't care whether she's married to a Kohen or Israel. And sadly enough, marriage wasn't so good. The plumber or electrician or Mazgan guy was way, way, way too friendly. She fell into hate, and there were Eidim and Hasro and Eidim. So what do you do to an Eshes Ish and a husband? What kind of misa do you give an Eshes Ish? You guys are too smart. You guys are advanced. They're ahead of me. True, but a regular Eshes Ish gets chenek. If hadn't she been a Bas Kohen, she gets chenek. She gets strangulation, chenek, which is a relatively easy misa, relatively. Bas Kohen, we expect more of you. You grew up in a very Kohen home, very Haredi. You are from a Bas Kohen, you expected more. And more is expected of you, not the friend. So she gets reifa. She gets reifa, correct? And her friend, the mezane, the menuvel, the one who was mezane with her, he's a regular guy, and he gets chenek. It's one of the exceptions to the rule where men and women are not equal, although they were partners in crime, and he gets chenek, and she gets the worst punishment of sreifa. You're right about Bas Kohen, right? So now, what does it say over there? Let's say there were Edim Zoimimim. Edim Zoimimim say, and this is, I'm not going to the whole sugya, there's Machlokes Rashi Tosfos over there. I'll follow one way to make it simple for everybody. The Edim Zoimimim say, we saw the Bas Kohen, Mizane, we warned her, we saw her going to the room, into the bed, Lo Aleinu, with a guy. We don't know the guy, but he was a guy. He was a Jewish guy. He had payas from his ears, when he was with her. Yeah. So now the Jewish guy, we don't know him. We're not talking about him, but we saw Maises Nus clearly. And we know Bas Kohen, we are made about her that she was Mezane. And then, when was that? Was, 2 weeks ago, Sunday 2 weeks ago, in where? In Bnei Brak, in this and that street. And then Edim Mezimim came 2 weeks ago. You're not in Bnei Brak. You were in Shlomi. You're in a different place altogether. Edim, what kind of death would they get? Chenek or Sreifa? They're made about her, Sreifa. So they should get Sreifa. Why? Because it says, you have to do to him what he wanted to do to his brother. The word brother is absolutely redundant. Of course, we're talking about Jews. La'achiv velo la'achoisoi. You give the aid, the punishment that you wanted to give the brother and not the sister, which means that according to some Rishonim, even if they didn't want to punish the man, okay, it's a debate, what I just told you. Maybe they were made on both. That's another shaila. But whatever the case may be, yeah, if you want to be made on, you were made on Nedznus, you don't get what you give the woman, you get what you wanted to give the man, even if you didn't, according to some. And therefore, they're going to get what? They'll get chenek, the lighter one, and not sreifa, which is the harder one. Not because of a general rule. Not because you always give the lighter misa. Only here because you give the men what they wanted to give the men or would be men if they knew who he was, and not what they give the woman. Give me a second. Let's just so what? Let's just continue and now hear your questions. Tana hosam kai. Again, let's go back to life, back to our masechta. What did the Gemara ask? The Gemara asked the question, why are you starting your masechta in such a weird way? Why are you starting with an exception to the rule, right? Any normal teacher knows, yeah, when you teach a rule, you teach the rule and then exception to the rule, right? Yeah. What's past in English? ED, 1 to 1/3, right? Then you teach them many exceptions, right? Very good. But why do you teach exception before the rule? Answers the Gemara, Tana Hosam Kai. Our Tana is a continuation of the previous masechta. At the end of Sanhedrin, we saw it says, Kol zoymimim makdimin le'oisa misa. All zoymimim, all edim zoymimim, they always have, makdimim means they should know they rise early. It's speaking a little bit sarcastically. They have no chance to get any other misa besides the misa that they wanted to give the other guy. You wanted to give the guy skila, you'll get skila. You wanted to give him chenek, you'll get chenek. Makdimi means early, means you have no, don't search for any other punishment. Don't try to tempt your luck or to beg Beis Din. If you wanted to give a guy skila, he said as Mechal Shabbos, you'll get skila. Right away you'll get skila. There's no discussion here. That's makdimin. Chutz, except for that one exception. Is domim baskoinu boyalo. Those who domim baskoinu boyalo. Here from the Lashon of the Gemara sounds not like I was saying, like the other Rishonim. They were mazim the baskoyan and her friend and the mizane the choite. She'en makdimin lo misa elal misa cheres. What kind of misna will they get? Not the misna they wanted to give the baskoyan, which is sreifa, but get a different misa, which is what? Which is the misa of the guy, which is chenek. Now. So you see already that the Mishnah there at the end spoke about edim zoymimim minus. Let's see the way the Rashi defines it. Rashi defines those guys that ein mikaymin bandin hazoma. Yeah, it says there is no. It's not full hazoma. There's nishtanu b'miktsas midin hazama, says Rashi. That's the point. They have hazama minus, hazama light. Normal hazama is exactly. It's very exacting. He wanted $1 million and 50 cents. $1 million 50 cents. Here, no. It's a lighter version of hazama. They get killed. They will be executed, but not as harshly as they wanted to do. On top of that, on the heels of that statement, our Mishnah continues. And the Mishnah says, "V'yesh edim zomimim acherim shen oisin b'endin hazama kol ikar ela malchus arboim." There are other edim zomimim who are edim zomimim. They are zomimim. They were liars, and they were proven to be liars in Manu Ayisem. But they are, as opposed to the people in previous masechta, which are getting a similar punishment. Here they don't get any punishment of a zoma at all. Rather, malchus arboim. They get Malchus Alban, which is completely plan B. Ketzad, how is that? Which means, when we said Ketzad, the Edim Naisim Zoymimim, it means, how do you have Edim who are not fully Zoymimim? How do you have Edim, listen to the words, the Edim Nasim Zoymimim? When do you have Edim who are not 100% Zoymim? They are Zoymim in their words, but not in the punishment. Nasim zoymim, meaning what kind of punishment do you give them? Which punishment do you give those edim? Because they are zoymim. What do you give them? You give them malchus. When do you give them malchus? If they said about someone is a cholol and he's found out not to be a cholol. Now you understand Tosfos. Tosfos says, you know why really this is considered to be why is this considered to be no, sorry. Why did the Mishnah choose to talk about Cholol and not about Mamzer? Because we happen to remind us, give us the flavor of the previous Mishnah who spoke about the Bas Kohen. We're still trying to connect the Mishnah so we can remember it better. Mishnah at the end of Sanhedrin had to do with the Kohenes, and here has to do with the Kohen. It's time, like as a reminder. But really, the same thing would apply to a Mamzer. If I want to make someone a Mamzer by my Edus, and it found out that I'm a liar because Imanu Hayisem, then no. Then really, there's no, there is no regular Hazama, but rather Malchus Alboim. This is like plan B. But really, those Edim are called Zomimim. As if we have time, we're going to see in Tosfos. Yes, what's your question? Now comes more with the obvious question. Minani Mili, how do you know? How do you know that really the person who is an Eid Zoimim and he wanted to be Mazim, excuse me, he wanted to lie, to be Zoimim, and say that this Kohen, such a nice guy, is a Cholol, you can't make them Chololim. Who says you can't? Minani Mili, how do you know? Yeah, make them Chololim. The Torah say even. The Torah says they're Chololim. That's it. The Kehuna crown, is off their head. Omar B'Shimon Levi. Some Gerso says Omar B'Shimon Lakish. Domar Kro. It says in the pasuk, Vasisem Loi Kasher Zoma. You're going to see this pasuk many times. You have to do Loi. You have to do to him what he plotted to do to his brother, excluding Loi V'Lo Lezaroi Zaharo Zaharo Chaya V'Kayomo. If you say that these people will be Chalolim, last time I checked, because I just learned Kiddushin with my good friends, a Cholol's son is a Cholol, and his daughter is a Chololo. So now, basically, if you are going to punish them, Beryl and Shmerel, the Eidim Zomimim, that they are Chalolim, and they are Kohanim, and they are Chalolim, their children, grandchildren, forever and ever will be Chalolim. Now, don't tell me it's also not fair, but we're not talking about not fair. We're not in kindergarten now. There's a pasuk, loy v'lo lezaroi. The only kind of punishment you give an Eid Zoimim is only a punishment that will affect him directly. But if the punishment will automatically define his children as pasul, that already is not, then it's out of the question. You don't give that punishment to him. So you don't give him the punishment either. It's all or nothing. You give him the whipping, but you don't make him a cholol. The whipping only affects him, not them, at least directly. Yeah, but the cholol is a package deal. Him, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren forever. That you don't do. Perek the Gemara, wait, why is it a package deal? Why is it a package deal? Why is it all or nothing? If he is a cholol, they're chololim. And since they can't be chololim, it's not fair. It's not what the Torah says. So he'll also be off the hook and just get Malchus. Why? Perek the Gemara, I have a solution. Cut it in the middle. Never heard of the golden path? Go for the middle of the road. Bingo. Why don't you say, yeah, make him a cholol, and Bezin will make sure that everybody knows he is a cholol, not his children. Next time the bus goes to Beis Hamikdash with their mishmar, you know what's going to be? Daddy is a cholol, and we all know why, because he was a edzoimim, and the children and grandchildren will not be chololim. So the Torah can say that the father, cholera, he's a cholol, he's a bad guy, he's an edzoimim cholol, and the zisa kinderlach and the eniklach are what? Not chalalim, working in Beis Hamikdash, eating truma. That could be. And says the Gemara, no, then you're missing the other side. The blanket is pulled on the other side now. Then you're not doing to them as they wanted to do to him. When they came to Bezin, Beryl, and Shmerel, the bad Eidim, the Eidim Zomimim, and they said, this guy Cohen is a chalal, and we know that, they wanted to make him children, grandchildren, great-great-great-great-great-great-great-children forever, chalalim. So now, if only they will be chalalim, it's not what the Torah says. They're not getting the same. It's like I would say, if this guy owes 10 million, and Bezdin will say, pay 1 million. No, pay the whole thing. Oh, and since you can't do that, you don't make him chalal b'chlal. Yeah, it's a package deal. You can't go halfway. In Mengele, you go completely to plan B. You can't do it all kashal zamam. Therefore, the plan B, bim, 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 39 malchus. That's one answer. Barpodo oimer. Barpodo now comes with a different answer. Alternative answer to answer what? Why can't an Ed Zoimem become a Cholol? Barpodo oimer says Barpodo. Oimer kal v'choimer. It's a kal v'choimer. Why is it kal v'choimer? logically, he wants to go with logic, not with the psukim. Logical kal v'chomer. Uma mechalel einoi mischalel. I'm so happy we just did the story Yuchsin because you guys know it well. Uma mechalel einoi mischalel. Abol echalel v'lo ichilel enudin shelo ischalel. What's going on over here? Let's read slowly. Uma mechalel einoi mischalel. I want to ask you a question. Quiz time. You're gonna get an extra blinches tomorrow. Yeah. Uma mechalel einoi mischalel. A person, a kohen who married a grusha, he's a bad man, bad boy. He married a grusha, and they have 3 beautiful children. Children can be very beautiful, but they're all halolim and halalois. And then he decided, he's doing tshuva, and now he made a neder that he will not touch her anymore, divorced her. So he can't work in Beis Mikdash anymore, right? Because he was married to a grusha. He can, and the winner is Baruch. He can. Hamechalel einoi mischalel. Basic Hebrew. Hamechalel, the one who made 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 children, he made chalolin. He himself einoi mischalel, mitchalel, reflexive in Hebrew is mitchalel. He does not become a cholol. I mean, he can't work in Beis Hamikdash as long as there's a grush at home because he's a sinner, as you said, yeah. But lemaisa, once he's out of relationship with her properly with a neder, then he can in a chinami be a cholol, not cholol, be a good kohen. He can go back. So somebody is creating chololos to others, and it doesn't affect him. He remains clean and nice and pristine. The day after the divorce, he's welcome back to Beis Hamikdash. We hug him and kiss him. All very nice. If so, habo, over here in our case, habo lechalel v'lo yichilel. In other words, these guys, Ved Edim Zoimimim, what did they do? They wanted to make somebody cholol, and they didn't manage. They wanted to say that Mr. Cohen is a cholol, but Baruch Hashem, we stopped them on time. They were proven wrong, liars. They wanted to make someone cholol verbally, and they didn't manage. Einudin shelo ischalel. Clearly, such a person should not become a cholol. Understand? Very interesting kal v'chomer. I'll repeat the kal v'chomer. If a regular kohen, unfortunately, fell in love with the wrong girl, as they said, he married what? A grusha, chalutza, halala, papa, whichever one, zoino. He married the wrong kind of woman, one of the 4 forbidden women. And then he himself is not a cholol. He's mechalal others. All his children become chalolim. The boys can't work in Beis Hamikdash. The girls can't marry kohanim. So he created and produced chalolim towards others, and he remains clean. Yeah, he's wearing gloves. The dirty job is the children. He himself is clean. Once he's out of relationship with her, neder, get back to Beis Hamikdash. Now, Kol Sheken, somebody who's Edim Zoimimim, funnily enough, the Edim Zoimimim are compared to that Kohen because they are trying to make someone a cholol. When he was married, he produced a few chololim. They are trying to make a cholol. These 2 Edim, who are, by the way, Kohanim, they are trying to say that guy, Mr. Kaplanovich, the Kohen, that he is a cholol. And they didn't manage. So Kol Sheken, they'll stay clean. You see that chololus has to do with I can hurt others from safe distance. Yeah, I'm creating chololim, but I'm a good guy. So too, they Kol Sheken, they wanted to make the accused cholol, yeah, and they didn't manage. Of course, they stay clean and they won't be chololim. That's a very interesting kal v'chomer by the Heilige Bar Poda. Maskif lo Ravina. Ravina now is attacking. Now we're going to have to see Tosfos. Ravina is now attacking big time that this kal v'chomer could be logically very nice kal v'chomer, but with the laws of the Torah, it just doesn't work. Why? Maskif lo Ravina im ken bitato Torah sedim zoimimim. If you want to say this kind of kal v'chomer, if we follow your logic all the way, then edim zoimimim would never happen. Why? Says the Gemara, umas soikel einu niskal, the one who actually, according to Rashi, let's say the edim zoimimim. I want to ask you a question. See if you remember the beginning of the shiur. Umas soikel einu niskal, an ed zoimem who managed to kill someone verbally because they said, this guy's mechalal Shabbos, and they didn't believe them. And Beis Din said, not just said, Beis Din took him actually, and they stoned him, they killed him because it was mechalal Shabbos. And then the Edim came out liars. Zoimimim, what do you say? Einu niskal, right? Vasisam l'kasher zoman v'lo kasher also, right? If it was executed, you don't touch the Edim. Haba liskol v'lo isokal einu din shelo isokel. With your logic, I would say, the one who wants to be soikel, and never was soikel, yeah, the one who only said it to Beis Din, he was made in Beis Din, and Beis Din only decided without executing it. They put down the gavel and said, Chayev, of course you shouldn't be niskal by your logic. Yeah, your logic would call for that, and that's not true, because the Torah says otherwise. Beautiful. One second. You just asked this question. Very, very nice. Right? Because your logic seems to be going against the Torah, must be wrong. Nice logic, but doesn't work with Edim Zomimim. Therefore, we are erasing Barpado's pshat. Go back to the first pshat. What's the first pshat? The first pshat is nice and easy. You don't punish a person and all his children. And by Kohen Cholol, him and all his children would be possible, and that's not what the Torah says. Oh, Frek Toises is asking on Rashi. Does make sense. Toises is asking a few questions on Rashi. Question number one is, why do you talk about skila dafka? What skila should say killed? And also, as I think Baruch was asking, yeah, what do you mean? It's not a question. Of course, my logic is right. Yes, says Barpada. Here, that's Gufi Chidush Torah. In other words, of course, what I'm saying is logically correct. If I wanted to do something, if I really did something bad, I'm potter. If I only wanted to do it, for sure I'm potter. Usually it's right. Here, the Torah, as I told you already a few times, it's Exeres HaKosub. Okay, we have the Ramban. It's a nice pshat. Of course it's Exeres HaKosub. Shkoich, that's exception to the rule. That's exception to the rule. The Torah says that only when I wanted to kill someone verbally as an Ed Zoimim, then I get the punishment. And if Bezin went along and executed the no, can attack me from an exception to the rule, from Xeras HaKosuv, right? Is it logical not to wear shatnez? No. Ask any doctor, any physician, anything. Shatnez is amazing and nice. Came the Torah, just wear shatnez. Yeah, it's not supposed to work within logic. It's Xeras HaKosuv. Therefore, Tosfos says all different shot. I'm inviting you to look at the second half of Tosfos when it gives the answer. Look at Tosfos. It's actually the only Tosfos in the page. I summarized Tosfos' question for you. I still want to go back to the first Tosfos, so that's I'm only going. Line starts with the word leme'abad. It's a little bit after the middle of Tosfos. Lemed kal v'chomer lekach pirush Rabbeinu Tam. Oh, that's what Rabbeinu Tam answers as follows. We're talking here not about killing in general. We're talking about skila versus other forms of death. How many forms of death are there in Beis Din? 4. Skila, sleifa, herring, and chenek. Uma soikel enu niskal. Pirush. Adam shesoikel chaveroi ba'avonim. A person stoned his friend to death for no justifiable reason. Mamish like skila, pushed him off the roof, 2 floors up, 2 amos, pushed him down, did the skila. Yeah, it's a big kanoi, maybe, whatever. He thought he's not nice enough, whatever. Ich weiß nicht, yeah. So then he has a protected smartphone, so he gave him skila, that guy. And that what? The guy died, and there were edim. Which punishment do you give the killer? Based in caught him, which one? The killer gets saif. The killer gets saif, which according to many is the lightest kind of misa. A murderer gets saif, slashing his head off, guillotine kind, not guillotine, a knife, a sword, and he dies, which is the lightest form of death. So he killed him in a very cruel way. He killed him in the cruelest way possible. Skila is the worst of the 4, according to most, according to Chachamim, and Saif is the lightest one. So he's kind of not getting off the hook, but in other words, we see that the Torah is not always so exacting down to the T. He gave him skila, a very cruel death, and imagine yourself a guy like in America, he mutilated someone and abused someone and he killed him and he Yisurim Neroim, and you give him some poison, a shot of poison. Not exactly the same, right? Yeah? We feel something here. The nidon b'saif, v'loy b'skila. He gets saif, the lightest one, and that's halacha. If so, habal lisokel, v'loy niskal, meaning that's not compared to the edim. Edim shemeidin ish ploy nishmechuyev skila. Let's say the edim zomimim said, Beis Din, we must share something, you Beis Din. We are edim, we saw Shimon smoking on Shabbos b'mezid. Then what does he get? Skila. They want to give him skila. V'loy niskal al yodom. They were caught on time, and before, there was a psak, but there was no execution of what? They wanted to give skila to the pure accused. Eino din shelo iskelenu. So according to your logic, we should not give them skila. right? Don't give them skila. If somebody really stoned someone, he gets saif. Here, they wanted to give skila only verbally, then don't give them skila. Yeah, maybe give them something else. And we don't see that. And we don't see that, right? We see that what? If they wanted to be kill someone, then we do give them skila. That's logic. And that doesn't defy the entire business of Edim Zomimim as Tosis continues. That's just one piece of the cake of Edim Zomimim. According to Rashi, we're debating the entire idea of Edim Zomimim. Doesn't make sense. That's the Chiddush of Edim Zomimim. Thank you very much. Here we're only taking a segment. We're taking one piece and we're saying that specific case, according to you, Barpada, is not going to work. Let me explain again. Barpada basically wanted to, let me summarize and then everyone will be clear. Barpada came with something very logical, but there's a problem. Barpada says, listen, you know why a person who yaps and says in Beis Din, I saw that mother getting a get, and then he was born, he's an aid. What? He's not an aid. He's a cholol. And they verbally wanted to make him cholol, and they didn't manage to make him cholol. No, Beis Din, yeah, at the end, they were caught as liars. So he's not a cholol. He boards the bus to Beis HaMikdash and goes and works in Beis HaMikdash. Very nice. And you want to tell me what? That they're going to be chalolim? No. We see that a person who physically made chalolim, he created chalolim, real chalolim. He made chalolim, and he's not a chalol. Kol shekin, the one who only wanted to and thought of and planned, kol shekin won't be a chalol. Perek the Gemara, that's nice logic. But lemaisa, you see that it doesn't work. You see that a person who stoned his friend, boom, yeah, doesn't get skila. He stoned him the most cruel way possible, and yet he doesn't get skila. He really stoned him. He's a murderer. Yeah. What do you give him? Saif. What does the family feel like? He doesn't get exact. That's what the Torah said. The Torah says he gets a aif. So, according to your logic, Edim Zoimimim who wanted to give someone skila, they wanted to give him skila as what? Because they said he smoked on Shabbos, he had relations with his mother, he was a mishkav zocher, I don't know, all kinds of things. Don't give him skila either. And that's not true. You all know, Barpada and us, we all know that you do kasher zamam. So you see that that logic doesn't work. You see that the Edim Zonim, they wanted to do something, they always get, except for the cholol for another reason, they always get quid pro quo. And therefore, if that would be your only reason, then the Edim should be chalolim. The Edim should be chalolim. Your logic is not the reason why the Edim don't become chalolim. They should become chalolim. Why? Although a real mechalel doesn't become cholol, we see that Edim Zonimim, from some odd reason, are always treated with pro quo more than the person who does the Aveira. Saying and wanting to plot and planning to do X, to get exactly X. That's it. And therefore, if you wanted to make him cholol, you would be a cholol. You wanted to make him cholol, you and your children will be chololim. So why did the Mishnah say that the Edim are not chololim? Separate reason, because of the Zisa Kinderlach of the Edim. But we need the Gzer Sakotsu for that. We need the Pasuk for that, not our own logic. Ad Kan, yes, I can see something's bothering you. Please ask me a question, Baruch. Questions are welcome online as well. Yeah. I like what Baruch said, one of the participants here. You're saying a nice idea. If a person killed someone, it's so terrible, but Lamaisa, it's a person acting, on his own. He's not representing a system. Edim, Zoimimim, Edus is a Rambam says, Gzer Sakosuv, Edim are not, it's not a regular way of just finding out the facts. It's much more than that. The Yonim are partners with Hashem in the creation of the world. So the judicial system, the Beis Din has to be so clean and so good and so above reproach, so to not above, in other words, has to be above suspicion. The people should feel comfortable and know that Beis Din are doing the right thing, and that's why we treat the Edim sometimes more harshly than other people, other punishments. Very nice. I want to talk about, we do have time. Please allow me to, I'll give you the crux of the Tosfos Baal Peh. It's important yesod. One very important yesod is as follows. I'll say it Baal Peh because we don't have time. Basically, the first Tosfos is asking a question. We have a rule, which we have to know. One of the basic rules of Edim Zomimim, we've seen a few rules already. I recommend you go home and you write down the rules of Edim Zomimim, the basic rules, because it's going to appear again and again. Basically, Edim Zomimim, there's a concept that's called Eidus Shi'at Yochol Azima is not an Eidus. An Eidus that cannot be Muzam is not a good Eidus, which means, for example, if you remember from Sanhedrin, Eidim have to be very, very exact regarding the time down to the minute, according to some, and the place. Yeah, they have to see, we saw him killing under that te'ena with those red leaves, with that green leaves. and in the specific time, hour, place, exactly in that the same that year, that cycle of Shemitah, everything. Why? Because let's say the Eidim are otherwise they're very reasonable. We know that he killed him between Monday and Tuesday, yeah, and they're good Eidim, and they answer all the questions amazingly good, and we know that they're saying the truth. So who cares whether they murdered him on Monday or on Tuesday? Why so nitpicking? That's why. Because Eidus, only Eidus that is potentially muzamable, only Eidus that can be muzam potentially is a good Eidus. And if you say, we swear to Beis Din, everything, we are the frumest guys and we know everything, we have amazing eyesight, and we know everything, and we're not sure whether it was Monday 1 o'clock or Monday 3 o'clock to play it safe. No, this Edus cannot be Muzam. Why? Because let's say the Edim Zomimi will come later and say, you were with us 3 o'clock in Beitar. They say, so it was 1 o'clock. If you give margin of time, yeah, between 1 and 3, then means that Hazama cannot be clear. They'll pray around that. So every Edus not has to be Muzam, has to have the potential, yeah, a quality of the Edus has to be such that can get Hazama. So now Tosis asks the question, excuse me, what would be if Edim actually come and say, so and so is a cholol, because we know his mother is a grusha. We saw in Sanet, we saw in Kiddushin. Let's say Cohen is known to be a cholol. There are 2 kosher Edim who said, I'm sorry, why is this guy in Beis HaMikdash with us? It's Osir. We know that his mother was a grusha. Hey, is that an Edus Shatoyechol Azima? Because they're not getting Hazama. So maybe this Edus is not an Edus? That's not true. We say that this Edus is a good Edus. Why? This Edus cannot be Muzam. What's the answer? No, yes time, not true. They have to say, we saw the mother getting the get, we saw his mother getting a get 15 years ago on Rosh Chodesh, Nisan, Tafshin, Ayin, in the basin in Beitar, and Rehov, the Chidush Haran, 58 and a half. Not true. It has to be exact, like every other Edus. Yes? How do you, no, it doesn't matter. No, I'm sorry. No. It doesn't matter. Every Edus given by Ramoshe Hillel Hirsch and the Rebbe of Belz, the best Edus, has to be potentially be given to Hazama, even though they're good, the Edim. Doesn't matter. It's a quality of the Edus. That's what I'm saying, not me. That's what the Gemara says. Every Edus has to be vulnerable. It's like, as Westerners, we can understand, like everything has to be judged by others. Every system has to be like checked by other system, right? It can't be a dictator. Every Edus, even if but the best Edim, has to be such an Edus that at least in potential is vulnerable to Hazama. Otherwise, it's not an Edus, even though they don't have bad intention. So this Edus, how can it be amazing this Edus? What's the answer? It's quite an easy answer. Because what did we say in the Maskana of the Gemara? When they get Malchus, there are Edim Zomimim. Plan B of Edim Zomimim is also called Edim Zomimim. Of course you can be Mazim them. You can say, you said you were 18 years ago in Beis Din, you saw getting the get. Liars. 18 years ago, Sunday, Rosh Chodesh Tevis, you were with us, not in Beitar, you were with us in Boston. Then what? They're Zoimimim. Elamai, they get Malchus. Getting Malchus does mean that they're not Zoimimim. It's Nitan Lahazima. It is a good Edus that can be Muzam. Elamai, the punishment will not be becoming Chalalim. The punishment will become lashing. That's all. But the Etzem, the Edus, is an Edus that's up to Azama. The Edus can stand under the lab test of Beis Din. And the Edus are Meizimim. Yes, the punishment will be different. Who cares? That's the good old answer. The other answers too. Atzlacha bracha. Maybe we'll be zoiche to start and know and learn and understand and mashpia and finish the masechta one day. Atzlacha uvracha lechol ha-nishtatfim. Thank you to everybody on Torah Anytime. And you too.